Good afternoon, everybody. And it's my pleasure to be a part of this virtual conference. And my special thanks to Dr. Shreya to make me a part of this wonderful course. So I'll be talking on the very basics of refractive diagnostic dilemma in refractive corneal ulcers. Now, when we see any ulcer, the first and foremost thing for us is to differentiate whether it is a pure epithelial defect or an ulcer which has a additional stromal loss. This is actually not progressing. Yes. So once we know that it is ulcer, the another aim is to differentiate from infections from non-infectious. Sometimes in the infectious also there is a non-infectious stage where we reach and we'll end up with PED and there is no infection, so we need to modify our treatment. So to differentiate the stages and the variety of infectious and non-infectious is very important. Now, once we know that it is an infectious keratitis, when do we really call it as a resistant or recalcitrant or a non-healing ulcer? If there is no response or there is worsening in 48 to 72 hours. Now, if the patient is showing even a mild symptomatic improvement, then also we should wait and should not consider it as non-healing. But yes, if there is no response or the patient's symptoms are worsening, signs are worsening, then we should label it as a non-healing corneal ulcer. Now, the important thing here is it is the clinical picture and microbiological workup, which is important in all cases of infectious keratitis, but it is especially important in resistant cases. We should correlate the clinical picture with microbiological workup. It is not only the clinical picture which can be conclusive. It cannot be only microbiological workup wherein you get some gram-positive organism, keep treating the patient, and you have an additional infection sitting there which is clinically visible. So both the things are equally important, and there are certain conditions where the clinical picture is so typical that you can diagnose it, but just to confirm your clinical diagnosis, you need microbiological workup. Now, the important thing is that we have to consider fungal infections in most of the cases. In developing countries like India, almost 50% of the infectious keratitis have some or other fungal elements because it is the most important cause is trauma because of the vegetative injuries. Sometimes, as you see in the upper picture, it is a mixed infection. So it was a bacterial infection with a super added, it was a fungal infection with a super added bacterial infection. So you just can't treat bacterial or primarily fungal. You have to consider mixed also or polymicrobial origin also. Another important thing, as I said, microbiological workup alone is not important. Sometimes you get some organism which may not be causative organisms, and almost in many of the infective keratitis, almost in 30 to 40% of the cases, it is culture negative. So just because the culture is negative, we cannot say it is not a bacterial ulcer or it is not fungal or it is not a particular ulcer. Now to just see certain clinical examples, this is a very, very simple and basic case. This patient was referred to us as a persistent epithelial defect of the viral origin. And the referring doctor consultant said that the patient has an epithelial defect with lot of surrounding corneal inflammation. So we can't put them on steroid because of the defect, and we are not able to get with the inflammatory part. And if you see clinically, the case was just a BSK, the band-shaped keratopathy, and the defect which is seen here was actually a clear area in BSK. So sometimes your clinical acumen is very, very important in differentiating, and that is what we have to learn. Now, exactly opposite case. This patient was being treated as a viral PUK for almost 3 weeks. The patient was not responding, in fact, worsening. The other eye was not examined. When the patient was referred to us, this was the clinical picture. Even in the other eye, a similar picture was seen. And when the history was taken, patient was always treated with antivirals for 3 or 4 times, thinking it is recurrent viral, but it was a pure Murren's ulcer. And when the treatment was shifted, the patient started responding within a week's time. So sometimes it's the other way, that you are suspecting infection and it is an autoimmune or some other kind of ulcer. So that is also important. This patient actually presented with acute pain and a ring ulcer. Naturally, when a patient presents with acute pain, the first and foremost thing that we think is about the bacterial infection. Because in bacterial infection, the symptoms are much more than the signs. Whereas in fungal keratitis, it is exactly the reverse way. So this patient was clinically suspected to be a bacterial infection. They also did the microbiological workup. So there were some gram-positive foci. And on the basis of that, this patient was treated as staphylococcal ulcer. Because he was not responding, an additional gram-negative antimicrobial was also added, thinking it may be a pseudomonas, which is not coming in culture. But the patient was not responded because the sample which they took was not representative. So when we took a deep sample and did a corneal biopsy, it turned out to be acanthamoeba. So if you take the representative samples, you are able to diagnose. So that is also an important part. And if you are able to properly diagnose, these patients respond very well to the treatment. The other thing, as Dr. Shreya said, that history is also important in these cases. History of trauma, history of contact lens wearer, history of exposure to contaminated water, all these things are also indicative that you should keep in mind the presence of acanthamoeba in these type of ring ulcers. Sometimes even microsporidia also present with ring ulcers. So what is important is that you communicate to your microbiologist that you are suspecting this clinical infection, so that the microbiologist can work up accordingly. Remember one thing, that our microbiologists are general microbiologists and they are not familiar with the ocular pathogens. So we have to tell them on the clinical picture that we are suspecting this. So we need additional stain, we need additional culture, we need E. coli for this particular patient. Then probably the microbiologist will be able to help you in a much better way. Now, this case is a typical presentation, but most of the time is misdiagnosed as fungal keratitis, because the dots which are seen in this red pattern has feathery margins. So it is treated as fungal ulcer. But we have to remember, we have to just have this picture in mind. If we see this, we have to suspect nocardia. The other important thing in nocardia is when we do the scraping, there is a gritty sensation. So that itself gives us a feeling that it can be nocardia. So you see the clinical picture, do the scraping, understand the scraping, tell your microbiologist to specifically look for nocardia and see the response. If your diagnosis is proper, the response is quite good. Similar in cases of atypical bacteria like mycobacteria. Mycobacteria is most of the time diagnosis by suspicion. We are not able to diagnose it only on the clinical basis. This patient is actually a post-LASIK patient, was treated for staphylococcal infection for a long time, did not respond. Then we lifted the flap, did the scraping, and asked the microbiologist to do AFB staining and put the specific culture. And then it was confirmed to be a mycobacterial keratitis, and it responded very well to the treatment. Now, as I was saying, that when we treat these microbial ulcers, we treat them with antimicrobials. Now, at one stage of the ulcer, the infection goes away, and what we are sometimes left with is basically a persistent epithelial defect, which has a melt which is settled. Now, at this point, we have to revise our treatment. We have to make sure that we have to reduce the antimicrobial, add on the other therapy, do, if required, do surgical intervention in time to save the eye. So this is very important in an infective keratitis, that when to start steroid, how frequently to start, when to reduce, and when to add another therapy, and when to surgically intervene. Then only we will be able, and this can be done very well on clinical basis. So my conclusion of the talk is that review your diagnosis. If the patient is not responding within 48 to 72 hours, try to find out the cause. It may be a local cause, it may be a dry eye, it may be a meibomian gland dysfunction, it may be a Steven Johnson syndrome, it may be multiple things, lid coloboma, multiple things which are responsible. Then the second thing is revisit your diagnosis, whether clinically you are missing something or microbiologically you are missing something, or it is a polymicrobial infection. The other important thing that you need to consider is drug resistance. So do the sensitivity, both antibacterial also, and now we have very good antifungal sensitivity tests also available. So do the antifungal sensitivity also, and make sure that you take representative sample. If you are not able to get with the superficial samples, do repeat the scraping, go deeper, take biopsy, and then make sure that your ulcer is whether really a culture negative ulcer or you are missing the microbial sample. So that is very important. So what is important is that clinical picture, you have to keep it in mind, the clinical picture, especially in atypical bacteria. Second thing is your expert microbiologist. If he is a general microbiologist, you should communicate and tell that these are the ocular microbiota which we need to investigate for our cases. Third thing, you have to tell them that we have very little sample. They deal with large samples. So our sample size is very small. So you have to tell them. And then whenever it is required, then if everything is not possible, then you do PCR microbiological test, or if required, you have to go for the confocal microscopy if it is available. Thank you very much.